What's up, YouTube? Dave here. Tonight we are talking about coffee again. My last video, I tried an espresso machine and made a decent cup of espresso. I'm no expert, but for a beginner's machine, it did a fine job. I definitely set the machine up. I brewed the first espresso incorrectly. I should have ran a couple cycles of water through it, but typical guy, I did not read the directions first. So, that being said, I'm going to try again, and I'm going to try to make an actual cappuccino or a latte and steam some milk. I don't really care for that. I prefer just a straight up either espresso or espresso in my iced coffee to get that a little bit of jacked up caffeine kick, I guess. But at any rate, I remember, I don't know, a year or so ago, I was talking to a guy, and he talked about how his mom always makes espresso at home. And I said, well, what kind of machine does she use? He's like, dude, she doesn't have a machine. She has a pot she uses on the stove. So I did some research, and there's a thing called a Moka Pot. It looks like this. He's an Italian guy. He goes, every Italian has one in their house. And after doing some research on it, they say that 90% of homes in Italy have this. And basically, it doesn't really make espresso, because for it to be considered espresso, it has to be made under a certain amount of pressure. I guess the pressure is measured in a measurement of bar. And a true espresso machine, it needs to put out or extract the shot of espresso under 9 bar of pressure. This little unit is only capable of about 1.5 bars. But this pot will make a good, rich, strong cup of coffee. And it's pretty simple design, apparently, from the research I've done. And I've had this for over a year, maybe even 2 years now. It's brand new. Someone bought it for me at a one of these big box stores, like a Marshall's, actually, here in Connecticut. Now, this is a Chinese-made one. The better one is a company called, begins with a B, Bialata. It's made in Italy. But basically, you have your chamber for water. Looks like this. This one is, I don't know how many cups this makes. Has a little pressure relief valve here. You fill it up with water to right below the valve. You put your grinds into this funnel kind of device here. This then goes in here, and unlike doing a shot of espresso, you don't have to tamp this down. And then inside this is another filter, you can see, and there's a gasket around the edge. So you'd fill this with water up to the pressure relief valve right below it. You fill this with your grinds. You screw it on nice and tight to get a good seal. And then you put this whole gimmick on the stove. The idea is that the water builds up pressure, the steam and water are forced up through the funnel and comes out into this chamber here. Oh, it came with an extra O-ring. Now, this again was made in China. I'd love to make a pot right now, but they do say to avoid espresso ground coffee. Coffee for espresso is ground very fine, and it could clog this filter. I believe that's why there's this pressure relief valve. So in the event that this chamber gets, the filter basket that's in there gets clogged, it's not going to explode. The steam and pressure could just piss out this here. So I'm going to go ahead and brew up a pot. We'll go over to the stove and get that done. But again, I'm hoping that this, let's see, this retail for $10 at a Marshall's. I looked at the good brand Bialata tonight at, like, they sell them at a Target here. They're about $23 for a 3-cupper, $40 I believe it was for a 6-cupper. You can't adjust it down. You need to fill that basket with that many grinds and that water. You can't cut it back, as far as I know. And by all the research I've done on it, some people tell you just fill it and lightly tamp it down, making sure that there's no grounds along this edge, because then it won't seal right. Some guy actually I saw after he filled it, he piled it up in the middle and screwed it down. I mean, they're widely popular in Europe. So we're going to give this a go and see what it's like. I'll talk to you later. What up, YouTube? Dave here. We're going to try and make a pot of this coffee tonight. This is the Moka Pot. Now this isn't the traditional Italian one, Bialata, if I'm saying that right. This is a knockoff Chinese one somebody got me from a local big box store. But we're going to give it a shot just to see how it goes. First pot. In the instructions, it does say that they suggest that you throw away the first 3 pots, I guess, as you work. Season it, I guess, in a way. So I've rinsed all the parts out with hot water just to clean them off. I don't have, they also say that the coffee should be not as fine as espresso and not as coarse as drip. So I basically just had this laying around. We're going to try this coffee just to brew it for now, just to see how that goes. So basically, we're going to open up our coffee. Try not to make a mess. It looks pretty fine as well. So then you have the pot, and it unscrews like this. Your basket. Basically, we're going to fill this vessel up with water right below this relief valve. The idea is that you're leaving a little head space in here, a little air, once we put the grinds in. Once the water starts to boil, I guess it forces it down and up through the basket. Plus, I guess if there's an issue with the basket getting clogged, you can have somewhere for the steam to blow out of, okay? Then, ultimately, the coffee makes its way up through this nozzle. So, they say to fill it up. Some people suggest use hot water, because part of the problem with this is, part of the problem with the process is that it could start cooking the coffee before it actually starts boiling the water. But we're going to go with just tap water for now. And then they say just to fill this up. And unlike when you're making espresso in a machine under pressure, this doesn't really require any tamping, more like an evening off. I've seen some guys on some channels I've watched actually mound it up in the middle there. So we're just gonna make a little bit of a mess. We're also gonna make sure this edge is clean. And the reason we're gonna do that is because once we screw this cap on, there's a rubber gasket in here and you want a good seal. So you want that edge to be nice and clean. They're also saying when you screw this on, don't use the handle. Like, don't wrench down on the handle here. So I'm going to give this nice and tight. We're going to go over to the stove. We're over here at the stove. I have happen to have, I have 2 kitchens, so this is the older electric stove, so it has the coils. My stove upstairs has a cooktop, so it's electric, but it's flat. I don't know if you know, it's just glass. What they do say is trying to keep it to the edge of the burner, because you don't want the plastic handle to be over the heat. And if you're using gas, you want the the flame to be, under the here instead of licking up along the outside edge. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it up here. I'm going to put it on a medium. Yep, it's coming on. And they also say that the relief valve should be away from you. So I guess in the event there is a situation. So what we're going to do is oh, here it goes. I don't know if you could see that. And I think I am going to take it off once it's done and kind of cool down the bottom chamber. I'm going to probably dump the first couple batches. They say at the end you'll get some spurting and gurgling. That's when you know it's done. And that's it. They say that helps it from tasting burnt and bitter. Well, let's just see what it looks like. Like I said, I'm not going to drink it. It smells good. It really doesn't taste that bad. So, that's good, man. It worked out well. And you see you probably got a good, I guess this must be, I don't know how many cups this is. Maybe 4 of these little cups. Alright guys, thanks for watching.